Well, greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode number 20 of 1 Degree of Scandal. It's with Cato Kalin and Tom Zenner.
Episode Bente.
Cato, great to see you. Here we are. Week 3 at Action Park Media. I love it. So glad we're over here. Place reeks of scandal. You can just feel it in the air, can't you?
It's so show busy. I love it. I love walking in the door and having the glass door. You look at yourself, you're locked out, you have to ring the buzzer. It's high security. And then, of course, Tipster Dave.
Stock Tip Dave.
Stock Tip Tipster.
Right there to let us in.
Right there.
Stock Tip Dave, getting quite the profile on some other very, very popular podcasts. Enjoying the content, Dave. Keep it up, man. Hey, this is a great show. So there's a couple current scandals that we're going to talk about. And Cato, this one's, we're going to get to it with a live guest in a little bit, but some of the craziest shit you've ever seen goes down in fishing tournaments. I just learned that this week. But apparently it also goes down in Miss USA pageants, and we've got one more scandal we're going to talk about as well.
I realize anything that involves money, there's going to be a scandal. Isn't it right?
That's a good point.
When there's a prize.
When there's something big on the line.
Yeah, from poker to the scandals of cheating in that, cheating in, I guess, the Miss USA, and we're going to talk about fishing. Anything involving money, right?
Yeah, it gets ugly.
People start thinking, how can we cheat? I think a lot of people are like that. A lot of people aren't, but a lot of people are, how can we win illegally?
Whatever they can do for a little shortcut to make the money. Hey, thanks for watching, listening, everybody. Make sure you download, you subscribe, you share it on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So thanks so much. We're going to keep bringing you killer guests and crazy topics. All right, let's get into it. 3 scandals this week. I want to start with Tom Brady and Gisele getting divorced.
Yeah.
Now, frankly, I didn't see this coming. Now, yes, I know he had to leave for 11 days, but I never thought they'd get to this point. I thought this was such an A-list sterling brand that they'd figure it out. But you know what? She's Brazilian. She's got volcano lava for blood, and she's pissed.
Yeah.
He said he was going to retire. He didn't. And apparently she holds grudges.
I called it, though.
You did. That's what you said was the reason that he was gone from training camp.
I said if he's gone from training camp because Brady loves football, there's no way unless it's something at home. Something at home, it will end in divorce. Now the whole thing is they're seen everywhere without their rings on. Tom hired the lawyer. She has her lawyers. It's going to go down to a divorce. She was not at the last 2 games. It's over. It's over, and I think I don't know exactly financially. I think she's richer, but now I think with his new contracts,
you know what? She hasn't been able to work that much the last few years, so he's caught up with her.
And let's face it, she can't. She's not the teenager. She's not the model anymore. She'll get some endorsements. Wealthy. She's got probably a perfume line, but it's.
Well, she could do a book, what it was like being married with Tom Brady. I'm sure she's itching and ready to go out there and do her thing.
I think the thing that they should do, Tom Brady got the deal at Fox. Someone just for the week hires her at CBS.
That's a great idea.
And just have her in the booth and Gisele. And she does the women's side of football like, oh, here he is training. Yeah, but he never goes home. He's always
that
training.
Son of a
He's
bitch.
never at home. Let me tell you to the woman out there,
her.
this is what you got to do. Yeah. Sure, you're making cold cuts for the guys, but you should be out shopping. Buying product.
They should put her on the Amazon broadcast on Thursday night. It'd be a market improvement of what they have. I'm not into the Thursday night broadcast team. I love Al Michaels, but I don't think that's working with Kirk Herbstreit. It's bad. I don't think it's that great.
It is. You know what? The first one I saw, Kirk Herbstreit looks totally different from. I don't know what it was, but he just looked different. I don't know if he got older
he looks
or heavier
plumper or like thicker.
Yeah, maybe it's thicker,
a little doughy.
And
or something.
and he does so much. But they I guess the fans love he's on. I think they're skewing younger because Kurt does the college, and now Pat McAfee, my bud. He does a lot of the opening of the ESPN.
Boy, if ESPN sees somebody and they love him, man, they sign him the next week, right?
Yeah.
McAfee's got to bust out more tank tops.
Yeah, and McAfee, wow. He's one of the biggest fans of Ice Wars.
Let me say this about Tom and Gisele, though. I predict right now, Cato, Brady's going to play till he's 50. Because now there's nothing holding him back. Why wouldn't he? I think he could still go play for the Dolphins.
I think this will be his last year. I think you're wrong on that, Tom. I think it's his last year. I think, you know what's really bad? The way they protect him. I don't know if anybody watched the game. I'm not going to get into a sports show. But the guy who tackled Brady for the loss that they got called at roughing the passer, I don't know if you watched it.
I watched it. I watched it.
Nowhere near roughing the passer.
Timeout. That was totally roughing the passer.
The way he...
No. It was roughing the passer. Cato, let's debate that right now. And I'll tell you why. How can you be so stupid as a defensive lineman to not know the consequence, the situation in the game? He hurled him to the ground. He could have tackled him and placed him down. When you take a chance and you wrap your arms around him and fling his hips over, they're going to call it, or they should call it. I think it was a great call.
A bad call. Even the broadcaster said that was a bad
No,
call.
the broadcasters did. I'm one of the few people that said that it should be a penalty, and I stand by it. You can't be that stupid, Cato.
I would think it's embarrassing in the locker room. Brady is so well protected. It's like everybody, did they protect him in the shower with the loofah? What goes on? I have no idea.
Hey, but don't you think you have to be a little smarter than that, especially after Tua? Right? Because now they're going to be extra cautious about quarterbacks. They're going to call everything if they're in danger. I thought it was a good call. I thought that guy was an idiot. That was a bonehead play. He made a huge mistake, and he cost his team the game.
Yep, disagree. But that's okay.
All right. Scandal number 2 of the week, we're going to really get into next week. It's the Miss USA pageant scandal, and we're going to have someone that was there on stage in high heels. So stay tuned for that next week, okay? That's a tease. That's all I can really say.
I don't know if you know that I used to be a judge, too. I'm talking about the trial. I used to be a judge at all the Hawaiian Tropics. I was one of the MCs, Hawaiian Tropic Contest, and I did that. So
what a horrible gig that was, huh, Cato?
It was traveled everywhere. But I'll tell you what, I know it's a great topic for him because I know the scandals, how it works, and how they really can kind of tempt the judges to do things.
Okay. More details next week, okay?
Next week.
Lay it on the line. So next week we're going to talk about that Miss USA pageant that happened a couple weeks ago. All right, Cato. The last scandal we're going to talk about and really dig into it is the fishing scandal that took place in Ohio. And you don't have to be a fisherman or a angler or really follow the sport to understand what happened. This was everywhere. I saw a huge story in the New York Times. It was on every newscast. Everybody was talking about this. It was a big prize fishing tournament for walleye in Ohio where apparently the winners and these guys who have won multiple tournaments, when the tournament director cut open the fish, a couple kettlebells, a 25-pound plate, an iron, all kinds of stuff fell out of there.
And a life cycle, a subscription had an Equinox. They had their own health club membership.
I think Mark McGuire's syringe fell out of there.
There was everything going on.
Jose Canseco saliva. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff.
I ate one of their walleye license plate. Was in my. I thought it was a shark.
All right. The most classic thing about this was there was damn near a riot because when there's 5 figures on the line, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000, these guys have busted their ass to try to win this tournament and play fair and square. And you got these clowns. And then I end up spending a lot of time on the phone with the tournament director. His name is Jason Fisher. Great guy. And he's the guy, if you look at the video, make sure you Google this later because I can't really play it because they sold the video. So it went viral. So I don't really have access to show the video, but just look it up. You'll see it. When he cut into that fish and all this, oh my God, these other fishermen, they were ready to kill.
Oh, yeah.
They were ready to pounce. It was going to get ugly. It really was.
When it involves money, anger's, when you are blatantly cheating and you see that they're cheating, I'm surprised that they didn't call security or security had to be there because they should have had their asses kicked.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they still might. They still might. They might come find them.
And by the way, they didn't do this just once.
Yeah.
I think they did it at many, many tournaments. We're going to find out more. And what's the legality of it?
Yeah.
Will they be? Is there jail time or?
We're going to find out.
They're going to be in the fish tank.
The story's not over. And I told the tournament director. I said, Jason, give me a name of someone that could be a great guest for us for the K train over here. They're going to love Cato. That can tell us about it. That was there, and he gave us the perfect guy, Lucas Heth, joining us from Ohio. Last minute, I call him up on the way to the show.
Yeah.
I get a hold of Lucas. Lucas, first of all, man, it's so cool of you to join us on late notice. But welcome to 1 Degree of Scandalous with Cato Kalin and Tom Zenner.
Hey, Lucas.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
So has the blood stopped boiling? I know you were there. You were in the tournament. Did these guys cost you personally any money?
They did last year. So this year, the LEWT championship was a month or so early. Last year, it was at the end of November. And my tournament partner, who's my dad, he and I came in second, and these guys came in first, coincidentally by 8 pounds, which is the amount of lead they pulled out of these fish in this last tournament. So yeah, they, it's a lot of money. I'd say over the last two seasons, these guys have either stolen or attempted to steal over $400,000.
Oh,
that's going to get the feds interested.
So, yeah, 400,000. So, Lucas, you came in second place this last tournament.
So not the one that happened this last Friday. It would have been the LEWT championship. So the same tournament in 2021.
So
we came in second.
And you can't go back in time. They can't prove that they cheated then, or can they?
Unless I would say they can get their hands on something showing that these guys admitted to it, somehow these guys were able to take voice stress analysis tests and they took polygraphs and a whole bunch of other tests. And it sounds ridiculous because it's walleye fishing, right? Yeah. But we take this stuff pretty seriously. A lot of the guys that fish these take this really seriously, and these guys figured out a way to beat all the technology and the tests to certify some of these results.
So tell me, I want to know, how did they cheat? How did they do the weights how does that? It sounds sort of genius, actually. I'm not condoning cheating, but how did they do it?
So they were using these 12-ounce like egg weights that are shaped like a sphere, like an oblong sphere,
like an egg,
able to get down the fish pretty easily. And then they were also shoving pieces of walleye fillets down their gullets as well to kind of dampen the clinking sound, or to make it sound like there was nothing clinking around in there, or maybe make it feel a little more natural. But it's really an old school way of cheating. That's something that guys would have done 50, 60 years ago. Not something that would happen in 2022.
When do they put it in? When do they put in the sphere or the weight? At what point?
So the thing that was interesting about these guys is they would always want to weigh in last. Every single time they would always ask to weigh in last. And looking back on it, they'd always say they had a big bag, they had a big bag, they had a big bag. And what I really think was going on was they wanted to see how much weight they would need in order to win the tournament. I mean, I've won.
Makes sense.
I should have won 3 of these things if I hadn't got cheated out of one, but I've won a pair of these over the last couple of years, and they're really hard to win. And you never hear of guys winning 3, 4 in a row. These guys have won nine tournaments over the last 2 years and a couple big derbies. There's
chance involved. It's not like you could be Roger Federer or Serena Williams and just dominate every single week by sheer talent. Right. I was thinking, are these guys brilliant or are they idiots? Because you said that the amount of weight they put in was who wins by 8 pounds? That seems like a lot, doesn't it? That seems like where are you finding these super fish, right?
Right. And that's really what it comes down to. It's not like there's any secret honey hole on Lake Erie. They're mostly pelagic fish, just roaming fish over structureless bottom, and they somehow get on the mother lode every single time when that doesn't happen.
Cato, the names of these guys was Jacob Runyon and Chase Kaminsky. Were they ringers? Do you know them? Are they in the circuit? Are they from your area of Ohio, or do they just fly in for these big tournaments?
One's local here from the Cleveland area. The other one comes in from Pennsylvania, suburb of Youngstown. But they fish most of these local tournaments. They've been disqualified from a couple other circuits in the past for other violations, very, very minor violations compared to what took place this last week. But I would say they're somewhat local, yeah.
So, and before this happened, were they like people you'd go out and get a beer with, or you'd see them? I imagine your community is small. You must know everybody. Is it a thing before the tournament? Everybody stays at a hotel and goes to the bar and drinks and gets ready. Hey, good luck to everybody.
Sometimes it's kind of an interesting world where we have like quote unquote teams where you'll team up with 2 or 3, 4 other boats, and you'll share information as the week goes on to try to get your teammates on a good bite. They weren't part of any of the groups that I, associate with, but I'd know them well enough to, if they'd win a tournament, I don't like to be a sour grapes guy. I shoot them a text saying, hey, congrats on your tournament win. And I think that's what infuriated so many people as well, as these guys were like textbook narcissists. If someone called them out, they'd make them feel like absolute garbage, and they just
really. So that's what made people even more pissed off, probably the fact that you kind of suspected it, and then they were jerks about it, right? And they actually were cheating. Yeah,
big time.
I can see how they may have faked the polygraph though, with if Jason was doing it, because you're not as nervous if you're not in a police interrogation room or having the FBI. So if it was just a tournament director, hey, did you lie? I can almost see how you might be able to get away with that. But if they had to face real authorities and some big-time detectives rolling in from Cleveland or whatever they had to do, which might be the case.
The fish police. And fishing is lying, Tom. How many times have you said, I've caught one this big? All right?
It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
Hey, Lucas, when they cut open, I think it was Jason that was doing the autopsies, when he did it and that first weight fell out, I never heard so many F-bombs in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, they're MFing this guy. He looked scared. He looked like, the gig is up. These big badass dudes might kick my ass. Were you one of the ones yelling and swearing at him?
It's just dumbfounded is the better word. Just completely like shocked. I mean, I've never seen anything like that over the last 6 years of tournament fishing. That was just absolutely, I mean, as shocking is the only word I can come up with. Just like your mouth hit the floor. I've never known myself to be a person that hurls explicitives at anybody, but there was definitely a few that got thrown out.
So that's happening, and they got caught. Take us through the cutting open, filleting it, a weight dropping out of the fish. How long was the process of these guys walking back to their car, or what? I mean, because they had to be surrounded. How did they actually escape everybody?
Good question.
So that was one thing that I'm going to give Jason a ton of credit on. When everything first happened, it obviously was just an outpouring of emotion and anger. Jason was angry, and it kind of spilled over from there. And I think once Jason realized this is a bad situation and these guys might be in trouble for their lives at this point, he got control of the situation. And Jason's actually a police officer, and he's a
police officer.
And Jason is the director?
Yeah, he's the guy.
officer.
He's the guy that cut open the fish. He runs the show, but he's also a cop on the side. Mm-hmm.
And I'd say his training kicked in, and he got the crowd under control and basically said, no one's to touch these guys. You need to get out of here right away. And the mob didn't really want that to happen. They're like, no, we're calling the other police that are on duty right now, and these guys are going to sit here. And they sat there for quite some time. Police stood around them, wouldn't let anybody get around them, I think just from the safety standpoint. But at the end of the day, the good guys were good and never, touched them, didn't beat them up, didn't get in trouble, and the bad guys stayed bad. So I think that's actually a pretty cool thing from the fishing community.
The gig is up for those two.
You got to use these guys as chum. On the next fishing expedition.
Hey, Lucas, I was doing some research on this, and I guess it's common to cheat in major fishing tournaments like this. The New York Times had a story. They were talking about how people will put fish in cages before the competition, probably to fatten them up, right? And then release them and act like they caught them. They stuff them with ice, right? Because then it'll eventually melt, but that could be a temporary fix. They have friends deliver pre-caught fish. They go down to the market, bring them back a big old walleye, and then they fish in prohibited areas. So there's ways around this. But, man, you'd think there'd be a code amongst fishermen saying, hey, let's do it fair and square. You get the big fish, you get the money. If not, move on with life.
Well, exactly. Okay, go ahead. Take it away, Lucas.
No, I was going to say that there really is. I mean, it's really just a huge community, and everyone leans on one another. And at the end of the day, nobody does this for the money. I mean, even though the money's good, we're fishing in boats that are in excess of $100,000, getting pulled around by trucks that are $80,000. I mean, no one's doing this for the money. We're all doing it for the competitive nature of it and just the chance to compete against your friends. I mean, we're all old and fat now and out of shape. We're not going out and playing basketball or pick up football, but I mean, heck, we can cast a line out there and catch some fish.
How pissed are you going to be? How pissed are you going to be when you find out some advertiser like a Mrs. Paul's Fish Sticks are going to hire these guys? In their fish, that they're going to get an endorsement.
Then the mob will really attack.
Yeah. Hey, when you want to cheat, try our fish sticks. They're not overweighted. Or our breading is light. Ask these guys, and the weight drops out.
It's been funny to see some of the memes coming across, just like even the local municipalities are getting in on the game too. They're putting pictures up of fish tacos with lead weights. Say, make sure you get to your local restaurant here this weekend and grab your walleye tacos with a side of lead and a side of shame dipping sauce. Just some
shame. We have the only 8-pound tacos in town.
Oh yeah.
I can see a documentary on this because it's compelling video. There's real drama. There's real emotion. There's villains and there's good guys. And there's got to be a doc. It'll be great.
A doc because it's in the fishing community where nobody would think anything would ever negative, nothing illegal would happen. So here's how does an actual tournament work? I just, in my mind, I can't see how it is. You guys go on a boat and you're in teams and you get a certain amount of time and you've got no fish in the boat and you catch fish. Is there a time limit? And what if someone comes up with no fish? Do you know, is this the season?
You take the walk of shame.
Yeah. So how does it actually work? It's so interesting to me. Two people to a boat.
No, it's actually it's pretty cool to see from a firsthand experience. But the way it works is, I mean, we all get to a specific launch on tournament day. They check your boat first thing in the morning. They go through all your live wells in your compartments to make sure you're not stashing dead fish or fish from the other day, just that you're going to try to weigh in that day. And then at 7:00, they start calling boat numbers. And if you're boat number 1, you go first, and then boat number 2 goes. And a lot of these fields that we fish, they have anywhere from 70. We had a field this year that had 140 boats in it. So
140 at the same time. 140 are in the water at the same time.
With that many boats, they'll usually break it into 2 or 3 flights, so they don't have more than maybe 40 boats at a time launching.
All in Lake Erie, so there's 40 at a time in a set area, and they can't get out of a
area, set time. If you go out at 7, you're due back 8 hours later at 3:00, and if you're a minute late, you start incurring a penalty for that. And so typically, you can go fishing anywhere you want on Lake Erie or any of its tributaries or anything like that. But that's the whole gist of it. Is you go out, and the best man that can figure out the bite that day and figure out where the biggest fish are that day, they come back and you win.
Okay, so when that's going on, can people that are kind of watching the tournament have jet skis and go around you guys and root you on? Is there like an audience of jet skiers? And while that's going on, you said all the boats are inspected. So it's a 2-part question. If the boats are inspected, I still don't know where do they sneak in the weights?
There are so many compartments on a boat.
Yeah, you have little hatches. That's how they smuggle drugs in from Mexico.
Okay, so
they build those things into pickups and trucks. They could do it in a boat.
So you're saying the fish are mules?
Yeah. Hey, these guys have thought this out, man. I mean, if they're going to win by exactly 8 points, they got the whole plan figured out.
They've done it before, so obviously the police are going to find out exactly how they did it before. And I had a 2-part question. What was my first part about fans coming there? Are there people that are actually watching the water around you guys, or would that be disturbing the fish?
No, not so much like on the water, but it's not uncommon. A few of these tournaments we hold are at local campgrounds in the lake, and it's not uncommon, especially in the springtime. We'll have, I've seen 300 people at the weigh-ins before. It's a big party. I mean, people come and watch the fish get weighed in, and they usually got food and beer, and it's actually a really fun, almost like festival type activity.
It's tailgating.
That's what it is. They come in, they see a bunch of big fish get weighed in, and get to ask the fishermen how they're catching fish and try to use it to their own advantage to go out and catch fish the next day.
Now, Tom, you're not, I guess you lived close to Lake Michigan when you were doing sports radio, sports TV.
I grew up in Minnesota. There's lakes everywhere.
Land of 10,000
10,000 of them.
So I've got to tell you, and Lucas, you can back me up on this. 2 of my favorite fish in the entire world, being originally from Wisconsin, you know this, Lucas. We have a thing called Fish Fry Fridays, and walleye is probably my favorite. Though is lake perch, kind of the same taste. There's nothing better tasting than this. You can have it beer battered, or you can have it grilled. You can go the healthy way. And I'm telling you, we have these fish fries, unlimited Fish Fry Fridays. The best with a little tartar sauce and lemon. Tell me, am I right, Lucas?
With 5 gallons of beer on the side too, right?
If you ever come to Ohio or anywhere around the Great Lakes, especially Ohio, Cleveland area, if you walk away without having a Lake Erie yellow perch sandwich, you might as well not even come. I mean, don't even worry about coming to Ohio. It didn't
Same
count.
in Milwaukee. You got to have that. We used to have Smith Brothers Fish. The best sandwich is a fish fry. Lake perch, yellow lake perch sandwich. Oh, gosh, you got me. I'm going to fly tonight.
Hey, Lucas, how famous have you gotten from this? Because if they knew you were in this tournament, this stuff spread everywhere, this video and this story. So have been people calling you out of the woodwork?
Not so much on my end because I'm not the visible character in it. I mean, Jason's obviously the one that's been getting blown up. I mean, he's had, I don't even know how many people he's had.
I think his wife told me Jason told me his wife's mad at him now because he's so distracted he doesn't help out with the kids. He's doing all these interviews. He's gone Hollywood.
It's really insane. Like you would never think a grassroots local tournament that's pretty big. I mean, if you go up and down the lakeshore here on Lake Erie in Ohio, most people have heard about our circuit and will follow it to some extent. I mean, we get at the end of tournaments, the local newspaper comes down, usually does a little blurb on it and whatnot. And people that are in the walleye world have heard about it, but just the amount of national attention this has gotten is just it's really more than it's insane. That's the only thing that's the word I'll use. It's just absolutely insane.
So there's a walleye tournament. Is there other tournaments that are it goes season round, like an ice fishing tournament? Is there summer tournaments, spring tournaments? Is it just walleye that you're in, or do you do all the fish tournaments, different type of fish?
I can't say I get into a lot of other tournaments other than walleye tournaments. We don't get consistent enough ice on Lake Erie. We do get some ice on Lake Erie where we can go out and do some ice fishing occasionally, but it's usually pretty sketchy. 6 to 7 inches of ice, and it's not something you would want guys having lapses in judgment on just to try to go get on this school of fish or that school of fish, because it can get it gets pretty dicey out there with the ice. So not a lot of ice tournaments. You
got to go on a smaller lake. I did ice fishing at Lake Torch Lake in Wisconsin, where you have the little tent set up. It's wonderful. You do that. You cut the ice. You have someone, and you just put the line.
Just another opportunity to drink, right?
Yeah, it's exactly.
If you're looking for a thrill, though, Cato, trying to cross a 4-foot crack in the ice in a Great Lake, 4 or 5 miles offshore that's half the fun right there. Zip across in the snowmobile, peg it, and just go across.
Hey, Lucas, if you see Jason, tell him I got 2 suggestions for him. Number 1, invite these guys to your next tournament. Invite them. You could sell this on pay-per-view. I mean, people would tune in to see what happens, what limb gets tore off first.
That's a great idea.
What fish hook goes into their ear.
That's a great idea.
There's my first suggestion. Here's the second one. We get Marsha Clark and Darden. We get Robert Shapiro. We put these guys on trial, and we have Cato involved. Now, there's another pay-per-view.
Cato, yes, Judge Cato. I like that a lot.
Judge Cato.
I like that. And I'm not bragging, but Tom's seen me in bars before I got married. I got some great lines. But seriously.
I bet.
Hey, he still has them, Lucas. Speaking of lines, Lucas told us that, this nice, good-looking Ohio kid is married to a Southern Cal girl, beach girl.
I am.
How did you hook her, pardon the pun?
Oh, man.
Some solid work,
She was probably one of the first phone calls I received about all this. She's like, can you actually believe this is going on right now? And I'm like, how do you even know about this? Like, nobody's supposed to, it's happening in real time and you already know about it. She had her group of friends, other fishing wives, found out about this, but yeah,
Have you turned into an Ohio girl? Is she a Browns fan now, or what'd you do to her?
She, unfortunately, we suffer every Sunday being Browns fans. But no, she likes Ohio. She definitely misses the nice beaches and the warm weather. December through March here can be pretty miserable. It's definitely not 75 and sunny every day. And from being there a couple times, we don't do dawn patrol here, and there's no Fanny's burritos in the morning, burrito runs or anything like that. So there's some perks to being down there.
Yeah, if you get too depressed about missing the sun, just look at your housing prices there. That'll cheer you up. And the fact that you don't have any homeless, probably all over the place.
Your gas prices, right? Raise your right foot if you're in favor of lower gas prices. It's $6.33.
Oh yeah, I think. Yeah, we're $3, $3.50, $3.60 a gallon here, something like that.
That's pretty cheap.
Yeah. I feel like driving to Cleveland just to fill it up.
Yeah.
Hey, what else you do? Can you give us a tour? You got any fish hanging on the wall? Let's see some champion.
Yeah, I said that.
Catches here.
He's walking around. Are you on the lake?
I do. I might have some kids here pop up in the thing, but
let's see the losing fish when you lost to the cheaters.
Yeah, here. Let me flip it around so you guys can see it here.
Okay.
Whoa! On my wall there.
That's not real, is it?
Hey, is that the ones that sing? That singing bass? I've got one of those too.
Yeah, that's the real deal here. I caught that one a few years ago in the springtime. That was 32 inches and 12 pounds.
Now, would that one was that in one of the tournaments? Because that fish being caught would be probably a huge bonus as far as the weight, correct?
That one was caught in the springtime. Usually the big derbies that we have here are the Fall Brawl and the Walleye Slam, and they coincide at the same exact time. Usually if you're somewhere around that 13 pound mark, 12 to 13 pounds, you're going to bring home both of those tournaments. Each the grand prize for both of those, which you can weigh the same fishing for both tournaments, is about a boat that MSRP is at about 135 grand. So you're taking home about $270,000
in a fish tournament.
Yeah. That's a month and a half long derby. It draws a ton of people from all over the Midwest here. I mean, there's some serious. fifth place in the fall brawl this year, I think, will be somewhere in the ballpark of $60,000.
Wow.
Is that coming? Is that coming up now, or is it over?
That will start. So the deadline for registration on that was the 12th, which I think today's the 11th, or is today the 12th?
Today's the 10th. Actually.
Today's Brett Favre's birthday. He's in
a couple more days, and then that'll start next week. And it's just you can go fishing whenever you want, how long you want, and it's a month and a half long derby, and the best fish wins.
That's definitely one worth cheating for.
Yeah,
with that kind of prize.
Well, those guys actually won that. Well, they won one of them last year. They took a polygraph last year for one of them, and they failed that polygraph, but they passed the other one. So it kind of adds another layer to these guys as well. It was like a lot of people were 50-50 on them. They got caught cheating in one of them, but not the other, but it was the same fish. So it was a kind of a messy situation.
Come on,
but you
you
can't cheat the size. You see the size. You don't know what's inside, but isn't the size of the fish matter?
The size definitely matters. Yeah.
But if you've got a 32-inch walleye and they've got a 29-inch walleye that weighs more,
right?
I mean,
right.
That's not right there. Well, how could that be possible? Is there more fish meat?
That's 10% of their weight. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And by the
walleyes are apex predators, as you know too. I mean, sometimes if you get lucky and the fish you catch had just gorged on a pound of shad or a pound of perch or something like that before, and that's all legal weight, and that's sometimes the difference between winning $125,000 boat or not winning anything.
Oh,
hey, I have another idea, Cato.
Yes. Okay.
Find out if those cheaters can ice skate. Bring them to Ice Wars.
Yeah, I've got to show.
They'd have a chance to win some of that money back.
That's another great idea. Have them get beat up. They have to learn how to ice and fight. But I don't think they can fight. These guys. The fish that you showed mounted on your wall, is that fish? Did you actually? I don't know how this even works. Did you get to eat that fish and then you get it mounted? How does that work? Do you fillet the fish out?
No, that was actually a skin mount. So that was one where we caught it, we put it in our cooler, and we took it right to our taxidermist and had him do it that way. So no, we did not eat that one. Typically, with walleye, the good eating sized fish are going to be somewhere in that 3 to 4 pound range. The old ones don't taste quite as good. They're not going to taste like a fried Lake Erie yellow perch sandwich. I can tell you that much.
All right, yeah.
I bet fishermen have great sense of humors. I guarantee you, for one of these next tournaments, someone's going to slip one of those mounted things in and let them just have a good laugh. Right? You got to do that. That would be really funny. Just kind of lighten the mood a little bit.
Just throw in a bunch of lead weights and have them put those in there.
Put a mini shark in there. Yeah, I just caught this. I don't know how. I win. Where's the check?
And by the way, are you sick of having your dad as your partner, or is he holding his end?
Yeah, do you need to fire him?
No. Yeah. No. It's one thing that's really cool, is to be able to share moments like that with my dad out there. I mean, he's a great partner. He hops on the boat, and whatever, I feel like doing that day, he's along for the ride, and it's really neat to be able to share some of those moments. Yeah. And I think that's why this angered so many people too, is, I mean, those guys stole a lot of those moments of myself fishing with my dad, or a lot of other guys fish with their dad or their kids. And these guys really stole a lot of special moments away from a lot of people. I think that's where a lot of that anger really came from.
Yeah, fishing's a pure sport, and those guys tarnished it big time.
And obviously, people sometimes, when I was going fishing, everybody said you have to be absolutely quiet, which I don't believe is true anymore. Are you guys cranking tunes on the boat? And if you are, what's the difference between your dad's music and your music?
Well, I'm a big fan of some classic rock and roll. One of the songs I like to, take off to in the morning is from Joe Walsh. So I definitely.
Which one? Back. Big Tits? I'm kidding.
That's
a fish song.
I'm going to sound really stupid right now.
Just sing it. Just sing it, Lucas. Come on.
We'll sing it.
It's the one where it's the good guitar when that. Life's been good to me so far.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. Is that the one you were just doing?
Well,
I go to parties sometimes until 4.
Here.
Right? Who knew fishermen had entrance music, right?
Hey, that's my song, man.
You gotta get jacked
when they
up.
see me floating down the lake and they hear the song going, the guys get a little scared.
You know what's funny is you made it because The Onion did a story on this too.
Oh.
That's when you know you made it in pop culture. New York Times and The Onion and everything in between.
And where you're at right now is at your house. Are you the celeb with your neighbors now? Is that your neighbor's house in back? Is that part of your house?
Well, usually my boat is not here right now, but my boat sits in my driveway during fishing season. So most people around here had a lot of questions for me when this stuff started hitting the national airwaves. Like, what the heck are you guys doing over there? So this was a pretty... Yeah.
So there's not that many people there. There's probably 40 or 50 people I saw in that video. So it wasn't like there's hundreds.
Yeah. There were not a ton of people at that one. No, no. How viral that video got. And I mean, we thought it was a big deal originally, like a couple days after. I've got an uncle in Columbus who sees it on TikTok, and I'm like, holy smokes, this video made it down to Columbus. And the next day, people from the UK
it's around the world. They went a little further than Columbus.
Like, good Lord.
Yeah, it's a huge story. So what's the plan, Lucas, now? What's this week? Do you have a tournament? How many tournaments do you have booked for the rest of October and December?
Just getting ready for that derby for the chance to win $270K. That's the big one now, just kind of getting all prepped and ready to rock and roll for that.
And by the way, Tom, you know this, it's starting to get really cold. It's not going to be fun on the boat.
I know the leaves are still green. Hey, you know what? Here's one more idea. I keep coming up with ideas. Go find out if Jason still has those weights, because you could sell those. You could put those on eBay, the things that came out of the fish. Someone would buy them. They're famous.
I think the Smithsonian already called.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Right straight to DC. Well, hey, Lucas, what's for dinner tonight? Fish? What's cooking?
I don't know. We might have to get we're talking about fried Lake Erie perch sandwiches. We might have to get some out of the freezer and get that going.
Kato's going to be jealous.
Yeah, no, actually, my wife and I are going to be playing this card game called Fish. Have you heard of it?
High stakes at the Kalin household.
It's huge. It's huge. Or the one-armed fisherman who caught one that big. You know these jokes. Come on, you got to have some fisherman jokes. Come on, Lucas. Can you leave us with one fish joke, please?
Oh, man. I don't know.
All right, just sing Joe Walsh then.
Just sing Joe Walsh. I don't have many good fish jokes for you. I'll be honest. I'm pretty lame when it comes to a lot of.
Hey,
sometimes
Lucas,
I think it's funny being that lame.
Tell your neighbors that you just were interviewed by Cato Kalin. That is going to give you street cred around the neighborhood. They'll think that's awesome.
Huge fish cred.
I will definitely say
I don't think people know that I'm come from the Midwest and fish and did quite a lot of fishing. And like I said, I'm crazy about anything lake. It's fresh lake fish are the best tasting fish around. And that and Pepperidge Farm goldfish. But those two are my favorite.
All right, Lucas, enjoy the rest of your night. Anything else? Did we miss anything about what happened? Anything scandalous that we haven't covered?
Oh, man. I think this story has been covered about every way you could possibly cover. It's been
time to move on.
You guys aren't missing your bases. You're covering your bases.
I did miss one question. In this past tournament that they got caught, you were part of the tournament, correct?
Yeah.
Did you make the pay cut?
No, we sucked. We sucked big time. I mean, there were a lot of boats that came in with no fish. That's the thing that's wild about it is you got a lot of guys that really know what they're doing that have won a lot of tournaments. Okay. Like coming in 0 fish, and then these guys come parading in there with 34 pounds, which is just
ridiculous.
It was so unbelievable. It wasn't even funny.
Okay, so it's the top 5, top 2, top 3. What's the pay?
They pay down about 10 spots. I mean, if they would have walked away between the team of the year prize that they would have won and the tournament win and a couple other contingencies, they would have walked away with about $29,000 this last week.
Take it.
All right.
Most of these go about 15,000, but that one was a big one.
Now they're going to turn their attention to golf. Don't golf with these guys on the golf course. Don't trust them. I just set a course record. Can you believe it? A 64.
Oh my God.
All right. Lucas, thanks so much, my man.
Hey, Lucas,
really
thanks
appreciate
a lot.
it.
Best to you. Have a
Seriously,
great.
this was fun.
Guys.
Thank you. Good luck in the rest of the tournaments that you're in too.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it, man.
See you on Lake Erie.
Yep.
That's right. Love it. I love it.
Okay, that was awesome. Hey, Cato, want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
So I grew up in Minnesota. You grew up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, land of 10,000 lakes.
I've never fished. I've never cast a fishing pole in my life.
I can't. It's hard to believe.
Isn't it hard to believe?
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town and I never fished.
Wow.
I've never hunted.
Crazy. Well, where I lived in Wisconsin, a suburb actually, but we had a pond in the back. We had a little pond, so we as little kids, everybody had a fishing rod. We would go there after school, sit in this little pier, but it was only goldfish. And the thing was, it was, you know how you when you're a kid, you used to kill ants, magnifying glass. You did things that were just awful. You go,
Wait, time
I'm
out.
not
This
going to
is
go to
something
heaven.
like Dahmer.
Well,
okay.
we would take the goldfish on the hook, and then we'd take it and cast off again with the fish on there, and it would go like 100 yards, and we'd see who could throw the goldfish the further. Just terrible things. But by the way, the fish were still living. We reeled them in, and we took them off the hook.
The first cheater in fishing tournaments, right,
Right,
there,
get-
launching those goldfish.
I had to get the number of the guys that cheated. I got some weights at home. We'll see.
You know, it's funny because people want to talk about this stuff that are involved in it. You think it's going to be hard. Like I had 4 or 5 people lined up that we could have done this with. It's amazing. You know, and it's so fun just getting that perspective from the people that were there.
No, I think your idea about having a quick like Netflix documentary on this and you show, you know, how people take it serious. Fishing, it's a way of life, and it's also feeding your family. Then it's also great pay if you win.
Someone's going to do it.
And then you got someone cheating. And you just got that following their little life of how.
And then you could do what happens next, right? Do they end up getting charged with something? Isn't
I
that
think
crazy?
this is going to be a try. Don't you think?
I think so. I think when you're talking about this amount of money, that's fraud on some level. I think.
And if they won other tournaments, if they've got close to $400,000, what's the payback? Who gets the money? Will people that came in second place get money?
Yeah.
Will they relinquish their trophy? Their walleye trophy? That's got to be a
I know.
smelly trophy.
Okay, so next week we teased it. It's going to be Miss USA pageant. Read up on that before our show next week because that was crazy. All the girls walked off the stage instead of congratulating the winner. So we're going to talk to one of the girls that was on the stage. That's coming up next
Oh
week.
yeah, and they had the I saw some of it too. The pageant director doing the winner's hair and doing like a
Really?
yeah.
Huh, what a coincidence, huh?
The winner it's just
Miss
sort of bizarre.
Montana was ticked. She's kind of one of the ones that's really outspoken
Is she the
about
blonde
it.
one?
No, she had dark hair. She doesn't look
Okay.
like she's from Montana. A very
Okay.
exotic look, beautiful, of course. But she was really, really pissed off about this thing and let it be known in every interview she did.
And I
So-
wonder if they do it because the ratings are so bad that they have to do something, a scandal, to get ratings
Remember when
up.
Trump used to have it? Or he
Yeah.
had Miss Universe or something, right? He would have done
Yeah.
that. He would have done.
Trump
You got to do
International.
something like this, right? Because no one really knows about them. They don't really watch them. No one watches network television that much. If you think about it, right? You're so used to, just binging on whatever you want.
Well, you say that no one watches network television. You're correct in that because that's why Amazon got one of the football deals, $1 billion industry, because people are going to stream now football games. Even Al Michaels joked the first time they did it, it's like, yeah, now we're streaming. So you knew that his age range was not like a streaming age.
Right.
And he's like, okay, this is a whole new genre.
Well, it's a whole new thing for him. But you know what? If you look at the numbers every year, 90% of the top 100 shows, literally 90, are live football games, NFL games, with a few college games in there. There's nothing like pro football. It's a cash cow. That's why I didn't call you all day yesterday. Early start in London, and the Packers lost.
Yeah,
How
I-
did you handle that?
I
Because
did.
that went down to the
I,
wire. Did something get thrown? Did something get broken?
With the game?
No, in your house.
Oh yeah, no. I have to. I hate talking about it, but I text Tom. I said, and you're not the only one that texts me. I said I'm not texting today.
Yeah.
No texting today. I was in a depression.
Yeah,
I'm still
I
kind
get
of
it.
in it, but the fish stories.
You know, the
kinda
week
cheered me up.
before when the Packers were playing at or against New England, I was going to send Sheng Yi a picture from the night before from the party that we went to, and she said, "I said, all right, I could text to Decato's phone." She goes, "Don't text to Decato's phone. He's watching the Packers."
Oh, that is so funny. Yeah.
She learned that quickly. All right, man.
3-2.
What else? Anything else going for you this week? Big things?
Oh, well, let's see. The show I was telling you about is called Kids Court. We're going to see what we're going to do with that. I'm going to get this young kid hopefully involved, a skateboarder, for one of the probably contestants in it. We'll shoot a pilot for this, but it's an excellent idea. Kids Court, where kids are taking their parents to court or their uncles or grandparents or whatever, and they have the cases that they want to win.
I love it. I love it. It's going to be a hit. I mean,
yeah,
think
I
about it.
think
You can
so.
stockpile these episodes. It's fun, family-friendly content. So
Completely.
Good luck shooting the pilot.
And you
with
know,
everything.
having these young kids, you got problems at home. I mean, you got probably things with
Yes.
a daughter that's maybe going to University of Wisconsin, dating. You probably have like curfews. You've got things that she's like, Dad,
Way to
Dad.
go. Way to plant the seed. She's going to take me to kids' court. She probably will.
I know.
Could be a good
We're
episode.
going to have you there. You could be your own lawyer. You're Tom Zenner.
All right. The K train is about to leave the station. Have a good rest of the week, Cato.
I had a great show.
Great seeing you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to Lucas. Download our show if you haven't. If you're new to 1 Degree of Scandalous, welcome. Go back and catch some of our old episodes because we had great ones. Everything we're talking about from the OJ trial, of course. We had Britney Spears' first husband about a month ago. We had the person that was first on the scene when Anne Heche crashed into the house. And then last week we had the over-the-top celebrity stylist who was not holding back when it came to George Clooney, Amal, Julia Roberts, and Oprah. Go back and watch that
Wayne
one.
Scott Lucas, by the way. And by the way, the comments have been amazing. Wayne Scott, they said, we outdid ourselves, the best show ever. So Wayne Scott brought the A game and his A list of celebrities of, and let me tell you, he, like I said, no holds barred. He went after them and said, if I don't like them, he said, if he didn't like them, he said bad things about them. And he said, if they're good, they're great. But if they're bad, they are just pieces of, well, I'm not going to say.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, he
Listen to
told
the
it
show.
like it was because he dealt with them. All right, that's it. That's a wrap for episode number 20. Thanks so much for watching. For Cato Kalin, I'm Tom Zenner. Thanks for watching 1 Degree of Scandalous. We'll see you next week.